Well, to discuss this more, I'm joined from Washington by Dr. Webster Tarpley, author and historian. Welcome to the programme, sir. Doctor, first of all, why has the Free Syrian Army transferred its base from Turkey to Syria? There must be some reassurance for them to do so, or is there something else to explain?
Well, first of all, we don't know if it's true, and these people have not such a good track record when it comes to lying, so there's that. I think they... if you look at the situation, you'll see there's really no military reason to move a headquarters from Turkey, where it's safe from air attack and safe from ground attack, and to move it across into Syria, where it's very exposed to air attack and I think also to ground attack. So there must be a political reason, assuming that it's true at all. And I would think there are basically two or three possibilities. One is that the leadership of the death squads, right, because instead of calling it Free Syrian Army, we should really call it NATO death squads, since that is what most of them are. They've been criticized for being too much out of the country. That's also true of the so-called Syrian National Council, right? They live in hotels from Geneva to Cairo. There's a big fight about how foreign influences and foreign-based expatriates, emigres, dominate all this. So they may be feeling the heat on that. The other possibility, which I think is very intriguing, maybe the Turkish government has gotten sick and tired of having these people there. This is an issue inside Turkey in the Turkish internal politics. If you give hospitality to the headquarters of an armed terrorist group, under the old Bush doctrine, that makes you a terrorist too, right? You're harboring terrorists. So maybe the Turkish government may, I hope, beginning to cut their losses in terms of these people from the Free Syrian Army. Maybe they were just nudged, right? Why don't you get across the border and stop embarrassing us and give us a hard time. The third possibility, very intriguing, raised by the British Broadcasting Corporation, that once their headquarters is in Syria, they're going to be massively vulnerable to airstrikes. And if an airstrike comes along, or if something else comes along that can be described as an airstrike and blows up their headquarters, they would then acquire an argument for what really counts, which is the NATO no-fly zone, a massive NATO bombing campaign. So it's either public opinion or the Turkish government or the desire to stage a new kind of incident, because it's not like these people have been making military progress. The other thing is that there's a meeting of the so-called coordination, and this is really important from a political point of view. On the one side, you've got Assad and the loyal opposition that are in the parliament. On the other side, you've got the death squads. In the middle, there are people who sincerely want economic, political reform, and this is the so-called coordination. And the coordination is supposed to meet in Syria, but of course the death squads don't want it to meet, because that would be a victory for Assad. So they've been trying to assassinate and kidnap some of the people coming into town, because this would be a meeting of non-Ba'ath Party opposition forces not controlled by Assad, and show that there is a reform process, which is what the NATO people have been denying.
Indeed. And briefly, Doctor, at the end of the day, I mean, who is the mastermind behind such anti-Syrian command centres?
Well, of course, it's NATO, it's the CIA, it's the people that have been organizing this the whole time, U.S. Special Forces Command and the CIA. And remember, their interest is not to have a peaceful solution, but to have a constant, endless war going on, because they hope at some point will give them the pretext to bomb Syria, which is what they want to do. And if you look at the entourage around Romney, these angry neocons eager to make a comeback and vindicate their discredited faction, I think that if we get to the end of January, and this is still going on, the Romney people would, I think, given their rhetoric, have a very hard time not escalating. They would be forced to escalate because of the promises that they've been making, how they would wrap this all up. So dangerous, but I think the important thing is the rebels are losing, and they're trying to give the impression of winning with this desperate gambit of moving the headquarters, even as another political defeat looms for them with the meeting of the coordination.
Indeed. Well, due to time restrictions, I have to leave it there. Many thanks to Webster Tarpley, author and historian from Washington.
Thank you.